All right, joining us now to dig in, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. Governor, thank you so much for being here. It's great to have you on set with us today. Arguably, as we go into November, the economy is the biggest issue for most Americans. The rate of inflation is slowing, but not fast enough to be meaningful for most people. So ultimately, when it comes to Bidenomics versus Maganomics, what does Trump have to do to message what Maganomics is to really resonate with people that he will change things again?
Well, I think he's delivering that message today because the Biden administration can keep trying to tell people that are struggling to make ends meet that, oh, inflation is slowing down, but it doesn't change their reality. Their reality that when the end of the month comes around, they've got more month than they've got money. I mean, they don't have food on the table, gas in the car. And then now, increasingly, the cost of electricity is up like 30%, and everyone's got to pay electrical bill. So I don't think he's got to President Trump is winning this battle because of what people experience. And people ask me, like, at their rally, when there's 107,000 people down at Wildwood, New Jersey, what was the demographic? I said there was no demographic the way you'd think of it, identity. Everybody there was someone who works.
Right.
They're all working people who care about this country, and then that's that's the thing. So that's a commonality that you're going to see. And whether it's talking to Wall Street energy leaders, Silicon Valley, there's three things that those people need. They need less regulation because the Biden administration, whether it's financial regulations, the energy regulations, or now coming with AI, where we need more energy for us to stay competitive, that's also affecting them.
I want to talk about energy. You're the governor of an energy producing state. What do we need to do to become energy independent and really energy dominant in the years to come?
Well, the key thing, again, is regulation. And we have policies today that it's almost unbelievable when you think about who benefits from the Biden energy policy: Russia, Iran, Venezuela, and China. Yeah. So it's like, did they write the energy policy? Because it's hurting Americans, it's driving inflation, it's helping our adversaries. And what do our adversaries do with that oil money? Well, Iran is funding all the terrorism, which is funding a war. Russia's funding a war. So we're in two proxy wars, and the other side is funding their wars with the U.S. failed energy policies.
Yeah. So you're a tech guy, too, okay, and you're talking about regulation. There's a lot of conversation right now about big AI getting too big. Microsoft, you're very familiar with Microsoft. Even some on the right are saying we should have a more activist antitrust policy. How do you counsel on that one?
Well, I've lived this. In 1998, there was an antitrust hearing that had Bill Gates, Scott McNeely, Michael Dell, and then they had Jim Barksdale representing Mark Andreessen there. And it was like, oh, Microsoft's getting too powerful. And I was there as a small software company entrepreneur. We were a public company, but we were small compared to the big guys. Right. And they said, we think we should regulate Microsoft. I said, there's 10,000 companies like ours that are thriving because this platform is thriving, and AI isn't going to be the domain of just Microsoft. It's going to be a platform that underlies another wave of innovation of thousands or tens of thousands of new companies.
So to the guys on the right who are saying, let's break up big tech, you're saying, hey, slow your roll. Don't get government involved here because you don't know how the story plays out.
Well, you know who wasn't at that 1998 regulation when people in Washington, D.C. Thought that they could regulate? Google wasn't there because they hadn't started yet.
Right.
Yahoo wasn't there. eBay wasn't there. Apple's resurgence as a big company Apple was on the decline. Apple wasn't a $1 trillion company then. They were like on their way out the door. So there's no possible way that at the speed of innovation, which is going to be accelerating with AI, that the government can keep up with it. What we do need to do is to focus on not restraining U.S. companies. We got to support the U.S. technology in our competition against China. You need energy. China's the world's largest polluter. They're opening up a coal plant every week. You know what they're using for those coal plants for?
What, to fund AI?
Well, fund AI is one. They're powering AI as a competitive tool because we need it for cybersecurity and cyber wars. We're going to need AI will become part of national security. We can't fail. We've got the lead now as a country. The only way we maintain the lead is to make sure we've got enough power to drive that. So the Silicon Valley folks that are showing up at President Trump's fundraiser last week, they're worried about tech regulation, but they're worried that energy policies are not going to give enough electricity to be able to keep our competitive lead in this field.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because when it comes to the inflation mess that we're in also, it really is about energy. And when President Trump was president, we were producing the most on the global stage. And as someone who covered energy for a long time, I never thought that we would ever say that, yet we were. So that brings me to this. As we go into November, you've got two people who had an opportunity to each run the country. And people, to your point, that are showing up at these rallies are going to be able to say, in this 4 years, I felt and lived like this. And in this 4 years, I feel like this. And then I'm watching Biden abroad, sort of not knowing where he's going and looking weak when he's around world leaders. And I'm thinking to myself, this has to be an easy choice for people.
Well, Jackie, I think you're spot on, because the most important question in any presidential election has always been, am I better off today than I was 4 years ago?
Yeah.
But for the first time in over a century, going back to Grover Cleveland, the people can actually look at President Trump and go, I remember what it was like. The world was at peace. Inflation was in control. Interest rates were lower. I could afford to buy a house.
Yeah.
I mean, all these things that they can remember fondly versus what they're going through right now. So it's going to be a very, if it's about the economy, this is very unique. It'll be very easy for voters to pick Trump over Biden.
Yeah.
Just quickly, what is the biggest strength you would bring if you were a vice presidential candidate?
Well, I'm not here to sell myself on this thing, but because President Trump can win this by himself. I mean,
But if you were,
He's got to have a VP, though, you know. You got to have one of those. You got to have one of
that
those.
probably doesn't need one, because I mean, he's winning in under 30. He's winning with the Hispanics. He's winning with African Americans.
Yeah.
He's winning with working people. He's winning in the swing states. And so he's got the luxury of saying, hey, it's not about the politics. He doesn't have to pick a candidate that, quote, helps him win a state.
But what would you give him if you helped him? Where would you say this is the thing I could help you most with?
Well, I would just say, I've supported President Trump since May of 2016. I endorsed him when I was running for governor for the very first time as a business guy. And part of the reason I did then was because I said we need business leaders in the White House, people that understand how the economy works. We got Biden and Harris. Between the two of them, I don't think they've created a private sector job in either their lifetime. And so I think, again, you've got we've got a great business leader. He's done the job. He's better prepared to be president now by so far than in 2016. He knows all the world leaders. He knows all the people to bring in. He knows how government works. I mean, this second Trump administration will be so much better than the first one, because last time he was just fighting to overcome, Hillary Clinton in 2016.
Right.
Now he's going to walk in and he knows what he wants to do. He's got a plan. He's going to close the border on immigration. He's going to bring down inflation. He's going to reduce regulations. He's going to cut taxes. And he's going to get energy, as you said, Jackie, he's going to get energy going in a way that'll lower inflation and allow us to be safe on the world stage.
And maybe he'll have a business guy with him. Who knows?
And he's also
Maybe.
a very different version of himself. If you listen to him, he's talking about policy, and he's left some of that other stuff aside that might have turned people off the last time around. And you, sir, are very modest, but we so appreciate you being here with us, Governor. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.